السلام عليكم طلابي الأعزاء، كيف حالكم اليوم؟ سنتحدث اليوم إن شاء الله عن أنواع الأسئلة الموجودة في امتحان TOEFL IBT. So today we're going to talk about the different types of questions that we're going to find in the reading section for the TOEFL IBT. If you remember last time, we talked about what TOEFL IBT stands for, which is Test of English as a Foreign Language. IBT stands for Internet-Based Test. And of all types of TOEFL tests, this is probably the one that is most recommended or required by universities all over the world. So let's start talking about the reading section. Now, if you remember, we started by answering a few questions. Some of them were about vocabulary. So what are other types of questions that you will have in TOEFL? As you can see, the first one, which is considered probably by many of my students as being the easiest, which is factual information questions. This means that the question is about a fact and the fact is stated or written. You can see it, you can read it in the text itself. This is why this is probably one of the easiest questions. So whenever you come across something about factual information, you will know that this is rather an easy question. And so these questions, as you can see here, are used or they ask you to identify a fact in factual information that was explicitly stated in the passage. It's there, it's very clear, straightforward, and that's it. Now, the next one is negative factual information questions. So when we talk about such types of questions, when you see something that asks for you to identify or to distinguish information that is true from information that is not true. So to distinguish between these two types, something that is not true, something that is not included in the passage. The only issue that I have with these kinds of questions is that they are very, very time consuming. So they would definitely consume time. Why is that? Because you will have four options. As we said before, we've got four options. So you will have to check every single one of them and make sure that it is mentioned or stated in that paragraph. And then whenever you come across the one that is not there, you can't find it, this means that this is the one you have to choose. And many students, unfortunately, choose the wrong one. So they would look for the first option, they might find it in the text, they would just circle it, and they won't pay attention to the question. The question is actually asking for what is not stated or what is not there in the text, not the other way around. So be careful with that type of questions. The next one is called inference questions. So something that can be inferred from the text. This is what? It is something that is implied. So it is not explicit, it's not there, it's not direct. You can't really read it directly, literally mentioned in the text. And this is one of the questions that some students find difficult. And actually, you can compare it to the factual information. So this one is explicit, this one is implicit. It can be implied. It's not stated directly, but rather indirectly. Now, the next type of questions is called rhetorical purpose questions. So sometimes these questions ask about the rhetorical function of a specific information presented in a passage. So he will mention some piece of information. It's not meant, directly, just for the sake of presenting that kind of information. It has actually another function in the text. All right. So he might be talking about, for example, danger, and then he would mention red lipstick, for instance. Why would he mention that? Maybe because he wants to say that red color represents danger. It's something that can be easily seen, even like among other colors. And it kind of triggers some sort of feeling in people, maybe because it's similar to the blood color, blah, blah, blah. So this is how a rhetorical purpose of question could be. And I think this is kind of a bit challenging sometimes for some students, especially of lower level students. So maybe if you're not C1 or if you're not B2, you might find it a bit difficult to answer. Reference questions. These questions measure your ability to identify relationships between ideas mentioned in the passage. So I'm going to find a relationship between two ideas, for example, or more, and expressions that refer to the ideas. So here they're giving you an example. An idea could be presented, and another sentence could refer to this idea. A question might ask what the phrase or this idea refers to. This is probably one of the ones similar to what we used to be, or what we're used to in or during school years. So they would say, for instance, it refers to what? So, or they would talk about John, for instance, and then they will mention he, and then they will ask who or he or what does he refer to, or they might say this man, and then who is that man? Is it John? Is it Michael? Is it whoever? So this is how reference questions are. The next one is sentence simplification questions. So this is some sort of what it's like, and they will give you a number of options. They will give you a sentence and then a number of options to choose from, and they will ask you which question or which of these options has the main idea or the essential meaning, and it includes everything that is necessary or important so that the meaning wouldn't change. And sometimes some of these options will not include a very important information, and not having that kind of information in that option will make it wrong. So this is kind of a bit tricky to some people as well. Insert text questions. So this is where you will choose what they will give you a sentence, and they will ask you where is the right place to place this sentence in the whole paragraph, and they will give you 4 different places. I find this a bit easier because what I would do is that I will just try to put it in these 4 places, read what is before and after, and then judge based on that. We will talk about all of these in details later, inshallah. And this one is prose summary questions. Okay, these questions ask you to identify major ideas from the passage. Now, some people would think, okay, is this a major idea or not? They might mention an idea that is not really, it could be like a supporting idea, but not the main idea. So we need to distinguish them from minor ideas. That's the issue. So you should be able to do that. Is this a main idea or is it a minor idea? And also the last type of questions is fill in a table. Now, whenever you see that kind of question, usually it comes at the end or almost at the end of the reading text. And this has more than one part. It's not multiple choice like the ones before. And what is even more important is that it has more marks, but it is very, very time consuming. And sometimes you would spend a lot of time on it, but you won't get them all correct. So it is time consuming. It is difficult sometimes to get all the answers in this part or in this question correct and get them all correctly, sorry. And at the end, you not get, all the marks assigned or, related to that question. So in this case, whenever, when you try to do the mock test, and we're going to talk about this later, whenever you do the mock tests, you should just see yourself. Am I doing well in these kinds of questions or not? So please do not waste time on them if you don't do very well on them. It is rather better to have one question with one answer, do it right, give it the time, and you're going to be fine. You're going to get a better mark. Now we've come to the end of this short session or this short lesson. Today we've just, gone through all the reading questions and the reading types very quickly. Please share, subscribe, like, and comment. If you have any questions, write in the comments below. I will definitely get back to you. Make sure as well to keep following me. The next time we're going to take real samples, like real TOEFL questions, and we will do them together. And you will see how I would do it and how we will get an excellent mark. Stay tuned. Have a good night or have a good day. Take care. See you. Bye.